Welcome back, everyone. I'm Electric, and as you can tell by my shirt, in addition to Mario and Celeste, I have another nice sweet spot in my heart for a particular Legend of Zelda game. That's right, Ocarina of Time, and we will be having a run of any percent by the world record holder, Torje, in just a couple of moments here. This run is absolutely phenomenal. What's funny is my casual experience of this game is completely intertwined with speedrunning. I actually never got much farther than you're going to see Torje get through normally when I was a kid. And it was only when Cheese started running 100% that I actually bothered to play through the whole game casually, and it took me about 2 weeks. And when we cross over here, you're going to see it done quite a bit faster. And so I'm really excited to have this opportunity to provide even just limited comms to you. So we'll go ahead and shift over to the menu, and let's take it away.
All right, welcome, guys. All right, ready to do a countdown? So start in 3, 2, 1, go. All right. So during this intro cutscene, we're going to take a little while to explain what the whole run kind of revolves around. There's this one trick in particular, sort of near the end of the run, called Wrong Warp, with that we sort of do everything before that to build up to that trick, just to be able to do that trick as fast as possible. Now, the prerequisites for the Wrong Warp is a bottle with something that you can drop and pick back up, such as bugs or a fish. And we also need to defeat Goma and reload her room. So to do that, we're basically just going to make our way to the Deku Tree as fast as possible and defeat Goma and obtain a bottle using a pretty neat method, pretty complicated glitch called Get Item Manipulation in the Deku Tree.
And so right now you get to see the N64's great effects with the rain and this horse ride, followed by that really intimidating Ganon scene. And about here's where you want to be back from your bathroom break to go ahead and start mashing this text.
All right.
So text in this game scrolls one character at a time, and so in every category in OOT, Japanese is inherently faster because English also scrolls at that same rate, and there's no functional difference between those two versions aside from the language. If you're familiar with speedruns, one additional reason English is actually viable is the text in English and scrolls 2 characters per frame. Kind of an interesting little change.
Now, there's actually a Chinese version of the game that technically has faster text than the Japanese, but the GIM glitch, the Get Item Manipulation that we used to get the bottle, actually crashes on IQ, which is the Chinese version of the game. Because IQ counts as a Nintendo 64 version, and on all Nintendo 64 versions of the game, the GIM glitch crashes. So we can't use that trick. So the second best option is VC with Japanese text.
And so we're going to go ahead and get started with movement here in just a little bit. This first part of the game is relatively normal. We're going to be getting the sword and shield as quickly as possible, and you're going to see a lot of movement optimization through here. So the fastest form of movement, in case you've never seen an OOT run, is going to be backwalking. Technically, frame-perfect side hopping would be faster, but you decelerate very, very rapidly if you don't get it frame-perfect, and so it's just faster to backwalk as a human. Quick shoutouts to the TAS. The TAS, I believe, is like a 1540 something, and it side hops absolutely everywhere. It's really great to see.
Yeah, TAS movement is crazy in this game. Shoutouts to Taskmaster.
And so first we're going to go and get the Kokiri Sword, and along the way we're going to be picking up the rupees. We need 40 to actually grab the shield from that main store. And a little example of what you may see beginners do, this is actually the optimal movement for this section, but a lot of people will fall into the habit of what we call box movement in other sections of the game. And about here is really one of the only points where it would actually be optimal. Otherwise, there are a number of other options that can save you a lot of time over the course of the run. And box movement is just going straight back and side hopping for any sort of sideways direction, as opposed to just setting your angle at a slightly off from just straight back angle when you start the back walk.
Yeah, we only ever really backwalk ever if it's particularly convenient, or we have any distance that's straight over 4 rolls is faster to backwalk than to roll.
And so there is a little optimization in that area that it looks like, unfortunately, Torje didn't get, where you actually target a rock, and when you target things, Link automatically faces directly towards them in the middle of whatever motion he's doing. And so you're able to use that target to set a particular angle to make that section just a little bit more optimal. So we're going to go ahead and pick up this shield, and so we have our supplies now to go ahead and get past Mido and get over to the Deku Tree, where the run is going to get pretty strange pretty fast. So buckle your seatbelts. But first, gotta talk to the worst character of the game, I feel.
Yeah, there is actually a way to clip underneath Mido and skip him entirely, but in this route, we passed Mido 3 times, so it's faster to talk to him once rather than try to skip him 3 times. It's faster to skip him for a task, but as a human you need to do some kind of setup to do Mido skip, because it's really, really precise. So it's not faster to do it.
And so do you want to explain what you did there with that slash on the wall?
So yeah, this cutscene, basically when you enter it, it tries to put Link in a certain position before it starts talking to the Deku Tree. And when I jump slash at the very beginning of the cutscene, the jump slash kind of occupies where the game tries to move Link. So what it does to compensate for that, to get Link to where he's supposed to be in time, it just adds speed to him. So the longer of the cutscene is occupied by the jump slash, the further down the hill I go. So you get a little boost down the hill, basically. Puts us closer to the Deku Tree after the cutscene.
And so now we enter into the Deku Tree. In the words of Donkey, you hear this nice somber music and you realize that this is a sacred place filled with just a infectious virus that needs to be expunged. But we're going to take a much different route to that. So what Torje is going to go ahead and do first is break that net at the bottom of this main area of the Deku Tree. Now, you don't actually have to go to the very, very top, as he's about to demonstrate. Now, what he did here, it may look like he just randomly talked to Navi, but that white glow indicates that he activated a glitch called Infinite Sword Glitch, which gives Link permanently all the properties of slashing his sword, including that he can not fall off ledges, or in this case, can't fall from mid-air. So Torje is setting up now for a backflip here. And okay, so he got just enough height to go ahead and break that net, and he frame perfectly side hopped in order to escape from, or in order to land on that little ledge while the net was breaking. So now he's trying to get out of bounds by grabbing the vines at the same frame that Link makes contact with that Skulltula. Child Link clips into vines slightly for some reason. It's unknown why exactly that happens, but. So we're out of bounds now, and what we're trying to do is lock our camera to get Link into a particular state. So states in this game are like if Link is walking, if Link is swimming, if Link is climbing. So right now, Link is climbing, but as you can see by the number, it thinks that we're diving. And one thing that happens when you're diving is the game, when you get an item, it tries to make you surface so that it can give you that item. But we're not underwater, so that surface command was just completely ignored. So to recap, what's happened right now, the game thinks that Link is underwater and that we need to give him an item. This is called the Get Item Collection. And the Get Item Collection looks at a particular value in memory to decide what item to actually give Link. And that value is shared by other things in the memory, including when you walk in front of a chest, that same value gets updated with a completely different value. So it looks like we just got a blue compass out of what should have just been a Deku Nut. But what we actually just got was a bottle with blue potion in it, which, if you remember Torje mentioning at the beginning of this run, we need a bottle with something that we can catch in it. That's half of that right there. We have our free bottle. The original route that used this sort of concept was, it's now referred to as the Cac Route, where we actually just go get the Kako bottle from Kakariko to accomplish the same purpose. But when Gim was found, it's, of course, faster, albeit very, very difficult. Normally in runs, you wouldn't actually pause buffer the control stick press to actually get out of bounds, which is frame perfect. You wouldn't buffer the quick turn in the water. There's a number of things you wouldn't do that he's doing safely here. And so he goes ahead and takes care of scrubs. Nice and easy. The scrubs actually won't shoot at you unless you're looking at them. One of the many things, the N64, due to its kind of limited resources, it culls a lot of objects that aren't in your direct view, including enemies in some cases. So now let's defeat Goma, the first and most menacing boss of the game. And as I was saying beforehand, before this run, this was the only boss I ever beat as a child. I couldn't figure out where to go after I left here. I was so dumb.
So like I said earlier, to do the wrong warp glitch, we need to defeat Goma and reload the room. And we also need a bottle that's filled with bugs. Right now our bottle isn't filled with bugs. And... oh. So right there, I need to jump slash into Goma to die on the same frame that I kill her. And that lets us defeat Goma and die at the exact same time, so that I exit Goma's room by dying, basically. And exiting Goma's room is required to also reload the room, but also obtain bugs to put in our bottle for later.
And so an unfortunate little detour, but this is a section of the fight that you pretty rarely get to see in runs, if ever. And so that scream indicates that we did get that correct, so Goma is going to go ahead and die here, but Link making the most noble sacrifice as well. And this is just faster than trying to do any sort of like walking back to the start, which I don't even think is possible, or save reset. And so now we're just going to leave. And this trick that Torje is going for right now is referred to as Baba Hess.
I targeted barely too early there. You can do a Hess off that Deku Baba, and it can carry you all the way to the ledge below Lost Woods. But it's really hard to do. I don't even do it in runs, but in a marathon setting, it would lose 4 seconds, and not the entire run to fail it, so it would be a cool trick to show off.
Yeah, so that West that he started just there, that ended up unfortunately getting dropped, that would actually, you would skip doing that, and the Baba Hess would continue all the way over that little wedge of water, which is also very, very difficult to cross over. And I think if you drop it over the water, you break about even with not even attempting the Hess, and if you actually get all the way over, you save 4 seconds.
Yeah.
But if you've ever heard other runners talk about Waterfall West, Baba Hess is effectively a faster version of that, which makes it even more difficult. So now we got bugs out of Lost Woods. So we have all of the requisite materials to go ahead and execute this trick, referred to as Ganondorf. So we're going to be returning to the Deku Tree. Now, the important thing about reloading Goma's room is that now, whenever we enter the room, the little rock wall that would normally come down as we enter the fight to Goma isn't going to come down. So we have free access both to the door of that room and the blue warp. And the bottle with bugs is going to be an important, incredibly important facet of what we're going to do with that availability. But first, we have to make our way down there. Oh, almost.
So I jump slash 1 frame early there. You can do B1 skip there. And you can basically barely hug the wall, and Link will kind of slide along the ceiling because of a mechanic called anti-gravity. But I jump slash 1 frame early to activate it there. So I have to do the little setup, the jump there.
So now we're going to go ahead and drop bugs, and what this is going to do, when we go ahead and pick them back up, is Link will still have the bottle in his hand, and this is very vital, because we're about to be doing a glitch called Ocarina Items. So Ocarina Items makes it so that an item in our hand is suddenly being played as an ocarina, because the ocarina is the default animation of the game, so it doesn't know what else to animate when you're using an item. And Ocarina Items allows us to totally break out of that blue warp. And you're not supposed to ever move while you're in a blue warp. So we just went from Goma's room into the middle of the collapse sequence. So what exactly happened there? Torje triggered the blue warp while activating Ocarina items, which allowed him to move while the blue warp was activating. And the way a blue warp works in this game is it goes ahead and starts moving Link up a little bit, and then tries to teleport Link to I think it's like the current scene +5 in that particular case, in order to activate the cutscene of you actually getting the Kokiri Emerald. But whenever you open the door on the same frame that blue warp tries to take you away, the door's value ends up overriding the value of the room that you're in. And so 5 gets added to that door's value. And it happens that is an invalid value, but it rolls down to 4+, which happens to be that collapse sequence value. So it just so happens the entrance table lines up so that when you replace the blue warp's value with the door's value, it just happens to round down and send you straight to this collapse sequence. And so there, Torje was going for a trick called Instaclip. There we go, so you're able to clip through there. So ideally what would have happened is, due to the target on Zelda as he was going down the ramp, he would have instantly clipped through that little corner of the fence, but in this case it just took a little longer. So what that did was Link hit a loading zone further down in the tower. And that really weird looking room where you just saw like a floor of the tower really far below Link, you actually enter back into the tower while most of it is unloaded, because when you have one room loaded, all the physical collision and all the loading zones are still loaded in memory and thus in the game, but you can only see one given room at a time. So from starting from so high up in the air, you do that jump slash and you hit this loading zone right at the bottom of the collapse sequence. So, and as a side note, in case you didn't snap to it, when we did the Ganondorf warp and went out of the collapse sequence, it automatically started the Ganondorf dying cutscene. And whenever people realized that this wrong warp was possible, that was huge, because Ganondorf can only be damaged by light arrows. And light arrows to get requires the light arrow cutscene, of course, which requires spirit and shadow medallions. And so it's, if you want to see what that category looks like nowadays, without RBA, it would be a category called No I Am Wrong Warp, which is nearly 2 hours long. But of course, since the collapse, since we're in the middle of that collapse sequence and we just enter a loading zone, the game is like, oh, well, you must have killed Ganondorf, right? Let's go ahead and just play that. And so it's interesting how this route effectively, luckily, just works out like that, how the part of the end game that it teleports us to happens to overcome one of the biggest barriers to actually completing this game really fast.
And another like crazy coincidence that this run works is that in this fight, Ganon knocks the Master Sword out of your hand, even though you don't have it. And after the first phase, it also re-equips it, even though you're Child Link. And the game's the final slash on Ganon is not possible to do if you don't have the Master Sword. And it's also not possible to do the last hit of the second phase of the fight either without the Master Sword. So the fact that Ganon knocks your sword out and then re-equips it automatically, even though you're Child Link during the fight, is what makes the run possible to complete entirely as Child.
And so now we've got this pig man of pure malice and hatred against a little boy with a stick. Who will win? Of course, now they had to get one more hay out before the end of the run.
So missing ISG there in front of him can be kind of scary, because if you can't actually go for it again right in front of him, but if you miss that, then you're dead no matter what. Because Ganon does 4 hearts in 1 hit, and we only have 3 tops, and on top of that, we only have half of those active right now.
So real quick, while this slashing is going on with ISG, I don't think I actually explained how he acquires ISG. It's from doing a stab and then interrupting the end of the stab with something else, such as grabbing a item on the ground, talking to Navi, which is what happens in this case. You talk to Navi about Ganon.
And coming up is the final slash. This is only the slash is only possible with the Master Sword equipped, so...
Time is going to come up on the slash.
There. If the Master Sword was never equipped, that slash would not be possible. And there you have it. Ocarina of Time, any percent.
GG's. A nice 20:02 for the marathon. Beautiful run.
All right. Thank you, everyone, for watching. Yeah.
And so there you have it. That is OOT any percent. A lot shorter than 2 weeks, I have to say. And a run that's possible for a number of very, very coincidental reasons, but very, very cool nonetheless. I hope you really enjoyed it. It's certainly one of my favorite runs, hence why I have a Ganondorf t-shirt nowadays. So thanks so much for watching. Don't go anywhere. If you thought that was exciting, you'll want to sit down for this next one. We've got next up what many people have been waiting for, the 120-star 4-way race between Puncation, Cheese, D Whatever, and Siglemic playing publicly for the first time in years. This is going to be one for the ages that you won't want to miss. One last time, I'm Electric, and it's been a pleasure commentating this OOT run for you. I hope to see you around for that 120-star race. But if not, catch you around. We'll be setting up and be right back.